Imagine waking up one day with a startling realization: your life, the one you've been living, isn't entirely your own. Every choice you've made, every belief you've clung to, even the dreams that push you forward, what if they weren't born from the depths of your soul but subtly molded by the world around you? How much of who you are is truly authentic, and how much is a carefully constructed facade built to meet the expectations of society, family, and unseen influences? Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever felt like you're merely playing a role, following a script that was written long before you even had the chance to question it? This journey we're about to embark on is not just about self-discovery, it's about awakening. Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers in psychology, believed that life doesn't truly begin until we embark on the path of individuation, the process of becoming our truest, most undiluted selves. But what does that really mean? Is it about self-awareness, or does it require something deeper, something more transformative? Stay with me. As we peel back the layers of conditioning, you'll start to see why so many people live as strangers to themselves, and more importantly, how you can break free. The truth we will uncover has the power to shift not just the way you see yourself, but the way you experience life itself. Jung was no ordinary psychologist. He didn't believe that happiness came from simply conforming to societal norms. Instead, he saw true psychological growth as a journey, one that required us to confront the forces that shaped us, discard what no longer serves us, and reclaim the parts of ourselves we have long suppressed. Yet most people never take this journey. Why? Because from the moment we are born, we are shaped by external forces. We are given names, roles, and a predefined map of what is acceptable and what is not. We are rewarded for conformity and corrected when we stray too far from the script. Slowly we learn to suppress parts of ourselves that don't fit the mold. Think back to your childhood. Were there moments when you expressed yourself freely, only to be met with resistance? Maybe you were told to be realistic, to toughen up, or that your emotions were too much. Over time, you learned to hide those parts of yourself, to lock them away where no one could see them. In doing so, you built a mask, what Jung called the persona. The persona is the version of ourselves we show the world, the one that helps us navigate social structures and gain acceptance. But there's a danger. The more we identify with this mask, the more disconnected we become from our true selves. We begin to mistake the performance for reality. And then, lurking in the shadows, is everything we've buried. If the persona is what we present to the world, the shadow is what we hide from it. This is where our unspoken fears, suppressed desires, hidden insecurities, and even our untapped strengths reside. But here's the thing. Just because we ignore these aspects of ourselves doesn't mean they disappear. The shadow doesn't vanish. It operates beneath the surface, influencing our actions in ways we don't even realize. Ever intensely disliked someone but couldn't quite explain why? Ever been triggered by another person's behavior in a way that felt disproportionate? Jung believed that when we feel a strong emotional reaction to certain traits in others, it's often because those traits exist within us, buried deep in our own shadow. But here's the twist. Within that shadow lies the key to true self-discovery. The parts of yourself you've rejected aren't your enemies. They are the missing pieces of your wholeness. Jung's great insight was that psychological growth isn't about eliminating the shadow, it's about integrating it. It's about facing what we've denied, and in doing so, unlocking a deep well of personal power, authenticity, and inner freedom. Are you ready to step beyond the illusions and meet the real you? To question everything you've been conditioned to believe? Because the next step will challenge everything you thought you knew, but it will also set you free. Most people go through life believing they already know who they are. They define themselves by their name, their job, their past. But what if I told you that your identity, as you know it is just the surface, that beneath it lies an entire inner world, one filled with forgotten memories, suppressed emotions, and an untapped potential greater than you've ever imagined. Jung believed that we all carry within us a hidden blueprint, a vast, uncharted territory of the psyche that holds the key to our true nature. And the path to self-discovery isn't about building a new self. It's about uncovering what has been buried. Have you ever felt an unshakable longing for something more? A quiet, persistent feeling that there is a greater version of yourself waiting to emerge. That's not your imagination. That's the voice of your unconscious calling you toward something deeper. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of integrating every part of yourself, the light, the dark, the hidden, the forgotten, into a whole and authentic being. But here's where most people stop. Why? Because this journey demands something rare: courage. Facing yourself is uncomfortable. It requires looking at the parts of you that you've ignored, questioning the beliefs you've never challenged, and confronting the fears that have silently guided your life. Think about it. How often do we avoid silence? How often do we distract ourselves with work, entertainment, social media, anything to avoid sitting alone with our thoughts? This constant noise isn't accidental. It's a defense mechanism, a way of keeping the deeper questions at bay. But no matter how much we try to drown them out, those suppressed aspects of ourselves don't disappear. They show up in unexpected ways through anxiety, self-sabotage, unfulfilling relationships, or an underlying sense of being lost. Jung believed that the unconscious is always speaking to us. We've just forgotten how to listen. But the moment we start paying attention, we begin to see the patterns. We notice how our deepest wounds shape our choices, how our suppressed desires influence our behavior, and how our fears often hold the greatest lessons. Consider something as simple as the fear of rejection. Many people live their lives avoiding conflict, seeking approval, and suppressing their true thoughts, just to be accepted. But where does that fear really come from? Is it truly about the opinions of others, or does it stem from something deeper? A childhood wound, a moment of feeling unseen, an old belief about not being enough. Jung would say that until we acknowledge these hidden wounds, they will continue to control us. But here's the extraordinary truth. When we face these buried parts of ourselves, they lose their power over us. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to live without fear of judgment, to express yourself without hesitation, to make choices based on what truly resonates with you, not what others expect. This is the power of individuation. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about reclaiming who you were always meant to be. So how do we begin? How do we access the unconscious forces that shape our lives? Jung believed that the key lies in symbols, dreams, and deep self-reflection. Dreams, he argued, are messages from the unconscious, revealing the parts of ourselves we've overlooked. Creative expression, writing, music, art can also serve as a bridge to the deeper self. But above all, the most important step is awareness. The moment you begin to question your reactions, your emotions, your deeply ingrained beliefs, you are already transforming. The moment you stop running from discomfort and start facing it with curiosity, you begin the process of reclaiming yourself. Because here's the truth. Most people spend their entire lives as strangers to themselves. They live within the boundaries drawn for them, never realizing they have the power to step beyond them. But you don't have to be one of those people. You have the power to break free, to strip away the layers of conditioning, fear, and expectation that have kept you from experiencing life fully. And in the next step of this journey, we'll go even deeper into the hidden archetypes that shape your psyche. Because buried within you are ancient patterns, universal forces that have been guiding humanity for centuries. Unlocking them may just change the way you see yourself forever. Throughout history, across myths, religions, literature, and even the depths of our dreams, certain figures appear again and again. These characters are more than mere fiction. They are reflections of universal psychological forces that shape our thoughts, behaviors, and identities, whether we recognize them or not. These are archetypes, timeless patterns woven into the human experience. Take the hero, for example. This is the part of you that craves purpose, that senses a deeper calling. It's the force that drives you to overcome adversity, push past limits, and evolve into something greater. But the hero never stands alone. It is always shadowed by its counterpart, the part of you that hides in the dark. The shadow is the collection of fears, suppressed emotions, and hidden potential you have yet to face. In myths, the hero must confront this darkness, often embodied by a monster, an adversary, or an insurmountable trial, before transformation can occur. But this isn't just a story, it's your reality. Think of a time when you knew you needed to change, yet something inside resisted, a moment when fear, doubt, or self-sabotage held you back from stepping into a higher version of yourself. That inner battle, it's the hero versus the shadow. Most people make the mistake of trying to suppress their shadow, pretending it doesn't exist. But Carl Jung argued that real transformation comes through integration, not rejection. If you struggle with self-doubt, ask yourself, where did this come from? Is it truly yours, or was it instilled by past experiences, societal expectations, or the voices of others? More importantly, what hidden strength does it contain? Sometimes doubt fosters humility, introspection, or the ability to see from multiple perspectives. When we stop seeing our struggles as weaknesses and start recognizing them as messages from the unconscious, everything shifts. But the hero and the shadow are just the beginning. There are many forces within us, each shaping who we are. One of the most profound is the balance between the anima and animus. Jung believed that within every man exists an inner feminine force, the anima, while within every woman resides an inner masculine energy, the animus. These aren't about physical gender, but rather the balance of energies within. The anima embodies intuition, creativity, emotion, and a deep connection to the unconscious, while the animus represents logic, structure, discipline, and assertiveness. When these forces are in harmony, we feel whole, but when denied, they create inner conflict. A man who suppresses his anima may struggle to express emotions, fearing vulnerability as weakness. A woman who rejects her animus may find it difficult to assert herself, hesitating to take charge of her own life. But when embraced, these energies become a source of immense power. And this leads to one of Jung's most profound insights. True self-discovery requires embracing every part of who you are. Your light and your darkness, your masculine and feminine, the known and the unknown. Individuation, the process of becoming whole, isn't about becoming someone new. It's about reclaiming all that you've always been. But there's one final revelation, one deeper truth that ties everything together, and it's this. The greatest obstacle to finding yourself isn't fear, doubt, or external conditioning. It's something even more deeply ingrained, something embedded in how we perceive reality itself. Most people assume their identity is fixed, that they are a singular, unchanging self moving through life, shaped by memories and experiences. But Jung and many philosophers and mystics before him suggested something radical. The self is not static. It is fluid, evolving, and far more expansive than we've been led to believe. What if the you identify with today is just a fragment of something much larger? What if your sense of self is not confined to this moment, but instead stretches across generations, lifetimes, and inherited wisdom? Jung spoke of the self, not the small, ego-driven self that clings to labels and fears, but the vast, total self that exists beyond the illusion of identity. This realization is both liberating and terrifying. It means that everything you've believed about yourself, your limitations, your fears, the stories you tell yourself, is not the full truth. It's merely a construct, a framework the mind has built. The real you is not a rigid identity moving through life. It is an ever-changing, limitless field of consciousness. You carry within you the wisdom of generations, the power of the unconscious, and a potential for transformation beyond imagination. But if that's true, why do we feel so small? Why do we struggle with doubt, fear, and suffering? The answer lies in the ego. The ego isn't the enemy. It's simply the part of the mind that creates a sense of separation. It's the voice that says, "This is who I am, and this is who I am not." It builds walls, defines roles, and holds on to familiar patterns for security. But in doing so, it also limits us. Because the truth is, you are not confined to a single identity. You are an unfolding, evolving being. And the moment you stop clinging to who you think you are, you unlock infinite possibilities. So how do you step beyond the illusion of self and into the fullness of your existence? Jung offered a path, one that requires courage, deep introspection, and a willingness to let go of everything you thought you knew about yourself. Embrace the unknown. Growth happens in uncertainty. The greatest transformations occur when you stop fearing the unknown and instead lean into it with curiosity. Release attachment to labels. You are not your name, your job, your past, or your personality. You are something far beyond definition. The less you cling to rigid identities, the more space you create for something greater to emerge. Listen to your unconscious. Your dreams, instincts, and intuitions are not random. They are messages from the deeper self, guiding you toward wholeness. When you start paying attention, you'll see patterns, synchronicities, and signs leading you to your true path. Surrender to the process. Finding yourself isn't a destination, it's an unfolding journey. There is no final answer, only deeper and deeper layers of truth. And here's the final revelation: you were never lost. The self you've been seeking has always been within you, waiting to be remembered. The choice now is yours. Will you continue living as a fragment of who you truly are, bound by fear and illusion? Or will you step forward into the unknown, embracing the vast, limitless being you were always meant to become? Because life doesn't truly begin until you awaken to yourself. And now, you know the way. If you enjoyed this journey into the depths of self-discovery and the power of Jungian psychology, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you the most? Have you ever faced your own shadow or experienced a moment of profound self-realization? Share your insights below. Your support helps bring more content like this to life. So hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next.